This means awesome. Okay. Shalom ubracha for those who are here and those who are elsewhere and those who are out of space. B'ezrat Hashem, we're continuing. At this point, we are going to go into Rav Noson's prayer on the last section that we've been learning for the past few months on lesson 24 of Likutey Tefilot. Just before that, let us just take a perspective of this amazing time. This amazing time right now. Second. This amazing time that we're there we go. The 3 weeks of suffering, Pu'alut, which is like the haftaras of the 3 Shabbatot of the Bein HaMitzarim. And now we're in the period called the Zayin de Nechamata, the 7 weeks of consolation, where all the haftaras are consolation. These 7 and 3 correspond to the 10 Sfirot, the 3 upper Sfirot called Keter, Chochma, Bina, or Chochma, Bina, Dalat. Those are the upper 3 Sfirot, which correspond to the intellect. We cry during the 3 weeks over the destruction of the temple and the death or concealment of the tzaddikim, which corresponds to a lack of da'at. There's da'at missing. The Beit HaMikdash burned. The Beit HaMikdash was the source of the Torah, like I said, right? Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. The Torah came from Yerushalayim. The Sanhedrin, the top Sanhedrin, they sat in the Beit HaMikdash, that they had their place. The Lishkat HaGazit was one of the rooms in the part of the temple. That's where the highest level of Torah was coming out to the whole world, was from the Beit HaMikdash. So we mourn over that, the destruction of the temple, and we mourn over the death of the tzaddikim, or on a more practical level, the concealment of the tzaddikim. Because like the Zohar says, the tzaddikim never die. And if they die, it's from your perspective that they're dead. But the tzaddikim, even if they pass on physically, their Torah and their presence through the Sfarim they leave behind, and the students that they leave behind from generation to generation, they have the ability technically to continue the light of the tzaddikim. But if the generation is not worthy, if people are more concerned running after the vanities of this world, so it covers up the tzaddikim. To the extent that not only the tzaddikim covered up, but people begin to think that the tzaddikim are crazy, are nuts. Like the story Reb Nachman brings of the 7 beggars. One of the beggars in the stories, it recounts that there was a gardener, there was a beautiful garden that had all the beautiful smells and colors and fragrances and everything. It was such a pleasure to be in that garden. And there was a garden taker. There was someone who was a gardener who took care of the garden, and all of a sudden he disappeared. And the garden began to rot and to fall apart and lost all of its beauty. So they went to fix the country, and the beggar, who was the one who suggested, he says, you have to get rid of these type of bad influences, and then you'll be able to find the gardener. So they listened to his advice. He got rid of bad people who were causing bad influence. And all of a sudden they said, could it be that crazy guy who says he's the gardener and we're always throwing rocks at him and everything because he's crazy? Could it be that he is really the gardener? And the beggar was really tzaddik, says, yes, he is the gardener. He's the tzaddik. So it shows you that people could be so distorted, the da'at is so out of place, it's so destroyed because of the vanities of the world, that a person can be looking at the face of a tzaddik and he sees the exact opposite. The classic example is what Rabbi Nachman brings in lesson 17 from the Zohar about the Merat Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah in Hebron. And it says, but Ephron, the Zohar says he was so happy to get rid of it. He was happy to sell it to Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu saw and smelled the entrance to Gan Eden when he ran into that cave, when one of the cattle ran away from him, when he wanted to slaughter the cattle in order to offer tongues to the 3 angels, right? We know the Midrash, the story. So he followed the cow into this cave, and he smelled the scent of Gan Eden, and he saw also there lying down Adam and Chava. Adam and Eve were lying there. So he wanted to purchase it. He smelled Gan Eden. And Ephron, when he came to Ephron, he said, "This is your land, I want to buy it." Ephron says, "Take it. Take it." Even though the pshat is, he said, "Take it for free." He was so happy to sell it. So Rabbi Nachman points out, look, two people looking at the exact same thing. One, Avram Avinu, smells Gan Eden. He tastes Gan Eden. He feels Gan Eden. And this guy, Ephron, the exact opposite. It's muznach, it's dirty, it's garbage, it's nothing. That's how it is. That tzaddik, for one person, you see, he sees the light. The person, him, he's a tzaddik. Forget it, nothing, right? So this is what we're mourning over the death of tzaddikim. They're not necessarily dead, not necessarily, but in people's perspectives, because of their distorted vision, due to what they put in themselves, all the input, the wrong input, all the ta'avot, midot ra'ot, so they see what's good and holy as being the exact opposite. We cry over that in the 3 weeks, okay? That's the goal. And Tisha B'Av, the goal is to get out of that. The morning is like a wake-up call to just realize what are we doing in life. I have to go over this story. I don't know if you heard it a few times, but it's an amazing story. There was a Breslover in Poland before World War II, before World War I even. His name was Nachum Schuster. Nachum Schuster, he was a very, very simple man. He didn't even know how to learn. Nothing. He knew just how to read the letters of the alphabet, and that's it. Didn't know what he was saying, nothing. Somehow he hooked up with the Breslover Hasidim in Poland. He convinced him, this is before World War I. So Russia was still accessible, Ukraine was still accessible. He was convinced by the Breslovers to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. He went to Uman Rosh Hashanah, he was inspired. He got to learn about the concept of getting up at midnight, getting up at Chatzot, and crying over the Beit HaMikdash. So when he got back home, and it was already after Yom Kippur, after the Chagim, whatever, so he started getting up Chatzot. He would go to the local Beit Midrash, he would go to the women's section. Every Beit Midrash had also a women's section back then. And he would go sit down in the women's section, sit on the floor, and start crying the words of Chatzot, even though he had no idea what he's saying, the dirges for the morning of the temple. So at that time, there were a whole group of these big, outstanding Talmidei Chachamim, Torah scholars. They were learning all day and into the night. They would finish learning at midnight. So they're leaving, and they see this Nachum Schuster, this Amar, it's coming to the Beit Midrash. They're wondering, what's he doing here at midnight? So they saw that he's saying Tikkun Chatzot. So he started to crack up. They started to laugh at him. He said, he doesn't even know how to learn Torah, basics. Mishnayot, Chumash, basics Torah, and he's getting up for Chatzot. Who gets up for Chatzot? Tzaddikim do, big people have broad shoulders and they have a background in Torah. They get up for Chatzot. What's this guy getting up Chatzot? So two of them couldn't hold themselves back. Were Mordechai Sokolover, Mordechai Halberstadt, and another guy named Chaim Gavriel. They couldn't hold themselves back. They went up to him and they said, listen, Rav Nachum, Chatzot is not for you. You know, Chatzot is for big tzaddikim. It's better you go to learn how to read and understand the Hebrew language, Lashon HaKodesh, Torah. Start learning basics instead of getting up Chatzot. So he said to them, listen to what you guys are saying to me. See, you guys have everything. You guys learn all day into the night. You have everything you need. You guys don't need the Beit HaMikdash. Me, like you say, I have nothing. I can't even read. I can't even understand what I'm saying. I need the Beit HaMikdash. They heard that. They flipped out. They said, what? What is he saying to us? Wait a second. Is that true? Is that how we really feel? Yes, we do feel comfortable. We're in Kollel all day. Everything's taken care of. We don't have to go work on the streets. Money comes our way. We're taking care of our wives are taking care of the home, the kids and everything. And we're learning all day and into the night. We're enjoying the Torah. We miss the Beit Midrash. He's right, we don't. We don't feel the galut. They woke up. They just heard that. It changed their lives. They woke up. They became Breslovers. They weren't. They were Hasidim. They were both Radzin or Hasidim. At least Mordechai Sokolover was one of the big Radzin. He was a big Talmid Chacham. And for him to shift to Breslov was a major, major move. And even the Rebbe of Radzin was a bit taken, but he had such a respect for him, and he had respect for Breslov also, so he accepted it. But he faced a lot of opposition. But even though there was opposition, still he had the upper hand. And people, they couldn't deny his geonut. He was a gaon. And he was appointed afterwards to be the chief rabbi of Sokolov. That's why it's called Mordechai Sokolover, because he became the chief rabbi of Sokolov, this Mordechai. And he became a very close student of Avram ben Menachem. All because of these simple words of Nachum Schuster that came from the heart. You don't need the Beit HaMikdash. I do. That woke them up. That actually woke him up. Unbelievable. Okay. So this is the wake-up call of Tisha B'Av. The 3 weeks of Tisha B'Av, those 3 correspond to Chochmah Bina Dat or Keter Chochmah Bina. Depends how you want to look at the upper 3 Sfirot. And then these 7 weeks preparing for Rosh Hashanah are the lower 7 Sfirot. In our context, lesson 24, we're going the opposite direction. We're going from down to up. A recap quickly to do the mitzvot b'simcha elevates the malchut from the klipot, right? We went into this many times. And once the malchut is elevated from the klipot, it goes to the level of the legs. And then from the legs, it goes to the level of the hands. What it means on a practical level, that when a Jew does mitzvot b'simcha, he releases that holy energy, the divine presence, the kedusha, the holiness that's trapped in the evil. When a Jew does a mitzvah with simcha, the simcha takes the mitzvah and elevates it. To what level? The level of the legs, the feet. What is the idea of the level of the feet? It's that the mitzvah now has capacity and momentum to get the whole world to wake up, to get movement. If you want to wake up the world, this is what Rabbi Nachman is teaching in this lesson. Do mitzvah b'simcha. That's how you get the world to wake up. You want people to get into Hashem, into Judaism, into the purpose of life, the meaning of this world. This world is totally vanity, total sheker, and it's only a preparation for the real world. To get people to wake up to see clearly like this, it's through doing the mitzvah b'simcha. So that's the idea. It goes up to the legs, which is called Netzach Hod Yesod. That's the legs. And then once it happens, you're able to activate bracha into the world. The blessings are associated with the hands because you receive blessings with the hands and you receive blessings from the hands. The Kohanim, Birkat Kohanim is with the hands, and we also receive, the hands play the representation of bracha. Okay? Once bracha is activated, the main bracha Rabbi Nachman teaches, we didn't get to that yet, is sechel. The person is smart if now, like they say in Spanish, the piñata. You know what a piñata is? Piñata is like these Mexicans, they have this this fake donkey filled with candies, and the child on the birthday hits it and all the candies come down. So if already you're activating the shefa to come down, why ask for a Lamborghini and a big house and a nice swimming pool and no chovot and big buildings? Aim high. What's high? Sechel. In dat kanita machasarta. In dat chasarta makanita. If you are smart, you will do like King Solomon. When Hashem told King Solomon, what do you want? What did King Solomon say? I want wisdom. The wisdom of God. Because once you have the wisdom of God, that includes everything. When you know the secret of Hashem's presence in the world, you can deal with anything that comes your way. Whether you have 5 shekels or you have $5 million, you know how to deal with it. You know how to go with the flow. You're always happy. If it's $5 or $5 million, you're okay because you have the dot, you have the awareness of Hashem with you, right? So this is now elevating the hands, using the bracha to draw down sechel, okay, intellect, which is chokhmah bina dat. So here, on these 10 weeks, from the beginning of the 7 to the 3 weeks, to Rosh Hashanah, we're going from up to down. We're starting from chokhmah bina dat. Chokhmah bina dat, okay, and now going downwards, because we're now going back to Malchut until we receive Rosh Hashanah and we go back up again. When we get close to Rosh Hashanah, we'll go into the opposite momentum. But now, these 10 weeks, now we passed the first 3. Now we're in the beginning of the Chesed Gvur Tiferet. So Parshat Va'et Hanan is basically Chesed. Next week's Parsha is Gvura. The week after is Tiferet, okay? So it's no wonder Va'et Hanan has in it, this week's Parsha has what? The 10 Commandments. Because now is the beginning, with the 10 Commandments this week, right? Yeah. Parshat Va'et Hanan has Aseret HaDibrot. The second time with the 10 Commandments, because now we're bringing down the bracha now, the bracha of the 10 Commandments, which is the bracha of Chokhmah is coming. Okay, so this is where we're holding in perspective of the time period, the time frame now. We are now going to continue, believe it or not, with where we left off in Rav Noson's prayer. You have here, I'll show you where it is if you want. You have here Likutey Tefilot. We're doing Likutey Tefilot. We're going to explain the concepts of Likutey Moran through the perspective of Likutey Tefilot. Okay? So here's the prayer. We're holding, exactly where we're holding. We're over here on this page over here. You brought a kinuach. You know what kinuach is? Kinuach seuda. You brought dessert right now, and we're holding on page kinuach. Here,
No way.
Yes way.
Yes
Okay.
way.
Over here, kanach, page kanach, on the bottom right of the right column, the bottom right where it begins. Ubchen. You see where it says ubchen? Let me just see if that's the right word. Okay, right. Okay. So we're holding. See what it says ubchen. Terachem aleinu. This paragraph is going to summarize what we've been learning for the past, I think, 2 months or 3 months. Fine and nice. Looks good. Enjoy. This paragraph here is going over paragraphs 3 and 4 of Likutey Moran. Okay? We're going to see how Rav Nosson is going to re-explain these ideas. This is Rav Nosson. Okay, so this is the paragraph there. Kanach, page Kuf Nun Chen of this edition. If you have the BRI edition, it's page 212. So this is Rav Nosson going over all the ideas. When you pay careful attention to how Rav Nosson talks, you see that he's adding more details to the Likutey Moran. So this is another example how the Rav Nosson's prayers explain the Likutey Moran. One of the best commentaries to Likutey Moran is Likutey Tefilot. Okay, so how do I send him the link?
What is the passcode?
It's I have to send. Let me send him an invite. Oh shit, how am I going to send it to him? He's not on one of my groups.
No, it's a Mendelssohn.
Tell Mendelssohn to look on the Chizuk group or the breast of therapy group. You can see it there. One second.
Either from the brand's breast of therapy group or the brand is.
Send it to him. Let me send him the invite link, and then he'll see it there. 1 second.
No. He said us as a link that
I'm gonna send him the page. Tell him to join the page. Tell him to join this page now. I'm sending him right now on WhatsApp.
Hold on.
Tell him if he sees it.
He's sending you a page.
Okay. Tell him to get into it, and tell me when it's in. So about this.
Okay, and just going. Like go into the
Join the group. Tell him to join the group.
Like join the group.
I joined him already. He's on the group already.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see it right now.
You should see it now.
Pass in 5 minutes.
Okay. No.
Good. You see it?
Do you see it? Okay.
That's it. Right. So this is an amazing point, by the way, in life. That if you really want to get into Likutey Moran, you're gonna have to get into Likutey Tefilot. The secret to Likutey Moran is not it's like we spend a lot of time learning, right? All that learning is for this, for the prayer. All the learning we do, all the psukim and Mar Mekomot and the Shlach Kadosh and the Megala Amukot, anything we quote and we go into Zohar and Kitvei Ari, it's preparation to say the prayer. You hear this? You hear this? It's the biggest mussar of life. If you think now Likutey Moran is a sikhli and intellectual learning and everything, you're wrong. The Likutey Moran, the only way to get in is through the heart. If you don't have the heart, you won't say anything. You'll just be like, oh, very nice chidushim on Torah Hashkafa and everything. What did you get with that? What did you get with that? You got nothing. You want to change. I want to change Hashem. I want to be a good Jew. So this is the secret, the prayer. That's why these prayers, Rav Nosson said, I'm going to say this again. Rav Nosson said that for every day that you don't say these prayers, you're going to give a din v'cheshbon. And he didn't say that about learning the Likutey Moran. He didn't say for every day that you don't learn the Likutey Moran, you give a din v'cheshbon. He didn't say that about maybe Shmot Tzadikim or the other Sfarim that Rav Nosson wrote. He didn't even say that about his Likutey Alachot, even though just the first volume was printed in his lifetime. He said it about the prayers. Later on, the next generation, 2 generations later, Avram ben Rav Nachman, who was the son of Rav Nosson's main disciple, Nachman Tolchener, he said the same thing applies to Likutey Alachot. But now, if I have a choice between Likutey Tefilot and Likutey Alachot, I have only 5 minutes. Or to say Likutey Tefilot or to learn Likutey Alachot. What comes first? Likutey Tefilot. Okay? If I have someone, God forbid, sent to jail, and they say you can bring in what book? Which book do I bring in? Likutey Tefilot. You got it? Because this is the key. These prayers are the key. When you know how to use the prayers, you have all of Rabbi Nachman's teachings in your hands. I'm telling you. If your heart is connected to the ideas that Rav Nosson is presenting, this is the key to navigate throughout all the rest of teachings. You'll know what to do. It's unbelievable. You don't have to ask every time, do it like this, like that, and rest do like this. You don't have to go like all this type of mochin the katlut and what do I do, this and that. If your heart is attuned to the ideas because you're davening about them, Hashem gives you siyata d'shmaya. You know what direction to take in life. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. But this is breast of therapy. If you want a breast of therapy, Mr. Z, it's this. It's the prayers. Rav Nosson's prayer is the biggest breast of therapy, and we'll go into it. Now as an example. Now we're going to see how the prayers are expressing the ideas of the lesson. Okay, so he says like this. You see that paragraph there? Kanach, page Kanach on the right side. Uvchen terachem aleinu. Okay, you'll see how Rav Nosson is explaining what we learned these past 2 months. And thus Hashem, to have pity, have compassion upon us. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. V'tamshich aleinu kedusha v'tahora. Draw upon us holiness and purity. Okay, for what purpose? What's this as prerequisite for? What is kedusha v'tahora for? For the following: V'titen koach ugvura b'chol mitzvah u'mitzvah shanu zochein la'asot. Okay, draw upon us, number one, holiness and purity, and give us strength and power, koach ugvura, strength and force and power, okay? But then, and give, it's not give us, and give strength and power in each and every mitzvah that we have the merit to do, okay? שתתעורר המצווה ותלך בכל העולמות כולם. That our mitzvah should arouse, תתעורר המצווה, the mitzvah should arouse what's coming up, and it should go into all the worlds. The mitzvah should be aroused and have momentum and move and go into all the worlds. So that the mitzvah I'm doing, it's not just me doing it. It's like, put my tool in today and that's about it. But the mitzvah has momentum. It's moving. But you hear what Rav Nosson added? Rav Nosson added here, v'tamshich aleinu kedusha v'tahara. What is this? What does kedusha v'tahara have to do? So that has to do a lot, because the more kedusha and tahara that you put in a mitzvah, the more the mitzvah. This, in a sense, it's not explicit, but Rav Nosson is hinting that if now you add kedusha v'tahara to the mitzvah you do, it adds to the momentum. How do we know what adds kedusha v'tahara to the mitzvah? Mikveh. Okay, this is a hint to going to the mikveh. Okay, why do we go to the mikveh? By the way, why in Hasidic circles, in Breslov circles, in Sephardic Mekubalim circles, there's the idea of going to the mikveh almost every day, basically every day. The mikveh adds kedusha v'tahara. The famous story, I'll say this again, you guys heard it from me a few times, I'll say it again, right? One of Isser Zalman Meltzer, one of the big rabbis of Slabotka, came to Eretz Yisrael, came to Yerushalayim, okay, and he was super duper Litvak, okay, super duper Litvak rabbi. He came to Eretz Yisrael, and he found out that the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim, Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, who was not a Chassid, wasn't Hasidic, he was from the, what's it called, Pressburg Yeshiva, which wasn't Hasidic, okay, it was different, neutral, okay. And when he found out that the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim was going to the mikveh every day, like the Hasidim, so he was shocked. I mean, you're our chief rabbi. you're representing me. So versus Almer Meltzer, he said to Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, I said, what? You also became a chassid. You also became a chassid. So Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld tells him like this. He says, just imagine, think about it. If a mikveh can transform a goy into a Jew, because that's the final stage of the conversion. What's the final stage after the Brit Milah and Hatafat Dam, whatever they do? It's the mikveh, right? If the mikveh can transform a goy into a yid, so just imagine what it can do to a Jew himself. He heard this from Isser Zalman Meltzer, and the story goes, and I heard this from Israel Meir Brenner, that he started to go every day also to the mikveh also. Isser Zalman Meltzer started going to the mikveh also every day. Okay? The idea is what mikveh does to a person. Rav Nosson writes, right? You could have done the worst things in your life. Mikveh gives you, remember this? Tikva. The word for mikveh, Rav Nosson points out, is like the word for hope. A person could be so off in life. He's so upside down. Everything's upside down. And yet, if such a person is consistent in going to the mikveh, and he doesn't say, I'm so off anyways, so what's the mikveh going to help anyways? He doesn't say like that. It's just opposite. That's pagam in emunah chachamim at the highest level. To say that is the biggest pagam. That means you believe your sin is greater than the power of a mitzvah. You know, Rav Nosson goes into this a lot. He says, people take yirat ha'onesh the wrong way. Yirat ha'onesh, you did this, you did that, you're doomed, you're doomed. So 1 second, and if I do good, am I still doomed? The good, the light of the good, it doesn't outweigh the bad? Isn't that Chazal? Midat tova merubah, always the good has the upper hand? Chazal teach that. So if I can believe in damage done by the sin, I can't believe in the good done by the mitzvah? Yeah, but. I did something bad. Chayav karet, chayav this. There's no mitzvah that should counter that. If now there's an avera that let's say chayav karet chas v'shalom, isn't there a mitzvah on the other scale that can do the opposite of karet to give you arichut yamim and this and that to balance it off? No, that's the reason here. That's a svara. It can't be like that. Just as bad does damage, right? The famous statement: If you believe that bad can cause damage, then believe that the good can fix. So again, Rav Nosson, you see, adds 2 words here. Adds tamshich aleinu kedusha v'tahara, draw upon me holiness and purity. But to do that, we know you need to do things for kedusha v'tahara. The main thing is going to the mikveh. That's why mikveh is so important in the life of a Jew. It's so big. It helps you so much. Again, you could say, but I'm a nobody, I'm a Muslim, I'm a schlepper. Still, go to the mikveh because it's going to give you kedusha v'tahara at 5,000 times level greater than your actual level. It's great. It's a benefit. Why just throw down? You don't need this anymore. What's this chutzpah, this silly attitude? Go to the mikveh. It's next door. It costs $5. You have $5 in your pocket. Just go to the mikveh. What's the problem? It costs 100 shekels a month. Let's say it's cheaper to the monthly manui, right? Do it. What's the problem? It's another 20 minutes, okay, and it's okay. There's a shower. You discussed it that day, so go to the shower afterwards. What do I want to tell you? If it's the being disgusting part, so you can take care of it. There's shower, there's soap, there's with shampoo. It's not a problem, right? The thing is that's kedusha v'tahara. Rav Nosson is adding, look, v'tamshich aleinu kedusha v'tahara. Why? Why don't kedusha v'tahara? Why did Rav Nosson just say like this? Uvchen terachem aleinu avinu malkeinu v'titen koach u'gvura. Why did he go straight into the idea? The idea is that the mitzvah should wake up, should do momentum. He added these 4 words, v'tamshich aleinu kedusha v'tahara. He's hinting to that this will add the momentum, the kedusha v'tahara, that you do the mitzvot. What's the prerequisite to have kedusha v'tahara? The most basic thing is going to the mikveh. It gives you kedusha v'tahara. Period. Even if you have the most disgusting thoughts and everything, people will say, does it help him to go to the mikveh? The person is always thinking about whatever, pornography and snus and everything. Even when he's in the mikveh, he's thinking about it. So he's tovel b'sheretz v'yado. Like the negative people, they say that. It's not the case. The person can be the worst thing. Again, you underestimate the power of the good. People talk like that. They say you shouldn't go to the mikveh anyways, because anyways he's such a, when people they have a deen attitude on doing good. So what does he gain by saying that now? He caused the person to be even worse off. Like the Gemara condemns that Amora, you remember the Amora? That because of him, Yashka fell off. You remember the Gemara? Forget the Gemara exactly where it is. I think it's in Sotah or Sanhedrin, that there was an Amora that because he pushed off Yashka, even though Yashka was a mamzer and everything, but him pushing it off caused more damage, right? It's like, wait what you're doing. You want to wake up the person, but by telling him more bad, it just pushes him off even more. What did you gain? So, okay, you're right. And what did you gain now? This is gone, that's gone. It's better the kirva, the drawing close, even the person is as they are. And yet they're coming to show that they want to have some connection, some good. So build on that. Take it, develop it. This is an amazing point, So here again, with Tamshich Aleinu Kedusha V'Tara, draw upon us Kedusha V'Tara, which by the way happens, you can say Rav Nosson is hinting here to the idea of the mikveh. He doesn't say how this happens. We know on a practical level, Kedusha V'Tara is automatically automated by going to the mikveh. Even though it was the bad thoughts and you think it's Tovel B'Sheretz B'Yado, it's not that case. There's Kedusha V'Tara is a different person, okay? V'titen koach u'gvura b'chol mitzvah. Hashem give force, energy, power into every single mitzvah that we're doing. Shanu zochin lasot. Shetitorer ha-mitzvah, that the mitzvah should wake up. Titorer. It doesn't say shetitorer. Again, Rav Nosson, every word is precise. Titorer ha-mitzvah. The mitzvah should wake up. A should wake up. B. The mitzvah should wake up others. That's the grammar of titorer. If it was itself, it would say shetitorer ha-mitzvah. Titorer. So the opposite. What am I saying? Titorer is the mitzvah itself, right? Hitoreri, wake up itself. Titorer mitzvah. The mitzvah should wake up. The mitzvah should wake up. It's not A to B. I'm correcting myself, okay? And the mitzvah, by waking up, the mitzvah is waking up, and it should go into all the worlds, all the universes, the 4 dimensions. Olamot is basically in Kabbalah. Atzilut, Birya, Yetzirah, Asiyah, the 4 worlds. They're called 4 dimensions if you want. Uteorer et kulam. Here, see now it says teorer, not titorer. And the mitzvah should wake up everybody. Lavodatecha, to your service and to your fear. Rav Nosson doesn't stop here. Watch, he's going to go now to elaborate every detail of every dimension. Watch, here we go. To the extent they should wake up to serving you and fearing you, everyone, the goyim, the animals, the grasses, the trees, watch. To the extent that they should all wake up, to the extent that all the worlds, all of them in their entirety, and everything within them should wake up to your true service. Lavodatecha be'emet, to truly be connected. On a practical level, this is something amazing. When you see, for example, you're a person who more or less tries to watch your time. You try your best to grab every second you have for Gemara, for Chumash, for Tehillim, for serving Hashem, for doing good, right? You're someone who's trying to dedicate your life to serving Hashem. And then you have to sometimes go out of your way. You have to go shopping. You have to go to Niagara Falls to pick up something. You have to go wherever Hashem sends you, right? You find those type of people who are trying their best to be connected to the Kedusha, and then they go out of their seder, and they go out to the mundane world. These people have amazing stories to tell you of the siyata deshmaya, the divine providence. You know, a taxi driver took me. It turns out that his mother's Jewish, and he's talking about his emunah and this, and we made a connection. And then I met this person who brought up Hashem and this. In other words, these people will tell you that even though they go out of their regularity, Hashem's sending their messages constantly that Hashem is there. Okay? This is an example that the world is waking up due to the person's mitzvot. On a practical level, that he picks up the siyata deshmaya, the divine messages happening around him with people, of a taxi driver. I have a funny story. That once I was in Miami, I had to go from point A to point B, and they got me an Uber, okay? I'm in an Uber truck at the car, and the guy doesn't speak a word of English. He's a Hispanic guy, okay? And he's looking at me with my kippah and the beard, and he starts to cry. I don't know what's happening. And then he starts talking to me, and I understand he's talking about Moshe and Hashem. He's saying all these words in Spanish, which I can figure out. I have no idea what he's saying. So I call somebody who speaks Spanish. I say, can you translate to me what he's saying? And translate to him what I want to say. And it was basically the guy was telling me how he only believes in Hashem and the Torah. He's a goy, he's a total goy, no keeper, nothing. But he believes in the Torah and Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, and that's why Hashem, why are you sending me a 5 billion people in the world? You send me this taxi driver? You know, you didn't send me a regular guy who just wants his money. He's working for Uber because he just wants extra money so he can buy his pack of cigarettes or his Johnny Walker bottle. I don't know. And instead, you send me a guy who has an emotional connection to Hashem and the Torah. And that's not Hashgacha Pratit. But why the Hashgacha Pratit? Again, because when you're someone, I'm not saying about myself to brag or anything, but I'm saying in general, Yidden, we live in Eretz Yisrael, we do so much to live here, for example, to live a life of Torah, we're trying our best. So Hashem takes care of you. Hashem sends you scenarios, and it's connected to this idea that the world is waking up due to your mitzvah. Give the mitzvah that it should wake up, and you can see it. You see it around you. You see that Hashem doesn't abandon you, even though He sends you away. I remember once, you know, when you have to go travel from Israel to America. So if you have a stopover, like in Switzerland or whatever, so the American, what they call Border Patrol, ask you, so why are you coming into America and everything? So it was a lady, another Spanish lady who spoke English, and she asked me, what am I doing? I said, I'm going to give lectures on Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. She said, who's this Rabbi Nachman? Can you please tell me you have a link, you have a page and everything? I'm just cracking up again. This is funny. It comes up, you know, she could just do her job. Okay, thank you. Okay, go next. No, she has to ask me, what's it about? And what do you talk about? She started going on and on and on. The people behind me are waiting, like 50 people behind me. And she's talking on, what does Rabbi Nachman talk about? And this and that. Crazy, what's going on? Just, it comes out. This is an example that the world wakes up to the mitzvah that you do, okay? So give strength and power. Again, sorry, I jumped up a little. Until everyone, all the worlds and everything in each dimension, every world, wakes up to your true service. To serve you, but the truth, which is that there's only one path of the truth. We believe that. That's the path of the Torah, period. So now Rav Nosson goes into every detail. Watch. Number one, group one. Domem, Someach, Chai, Medaber. The world of inanimate, like the rocks and the stones. Someach, vegetation. Chai, the animal life. And Medaber. Okay, all 4 levels should wake up to serve you. Number 2, Esh, Ruach, Mayim, Afar. Fire, wind, water, and earth, the 4 elements. And this takes place, like, you know, I'll tell you a funny thing. Here's a funny example. Once I was on I had to take a subway in Toronto. I had to go redo my passport in Toronto. This is like maybe 8 years ago, 6 years ago. So I had to take, I hadn't taken the subway in Toronto like for maybe 30 years. Last time I was there. So I'm in the subway, and again, I'm dressed the way I'm dressed, okay? It's like, it's still hot outside. It's like October, September, October. It's still nice and warm. And I'm sitting there, and as a guy is walking outside of the subway, and the subway's not moving. And I'm sitting there 5 minutes. He doesn't want to sit in the subway because it's hot. He's sitting outside, and he's looking at me and he's smiling at me. Okay, and we're waiting and waiting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have a technical problem with the electricity of the subway. Everyone has to get off the subway. So we get off, and all the fire station starts coming in and everything. So then this guy, he's looking at me smiling, and he starts talking to me in Hebrew. He's an Israeli who lives in Toronto. So Hashem made it because of what happened. So we decided to take the bus together and to continue, and we went on for like another half an hour together. I'm just saying, here's an example how the fire, Ru'esh, of the subway didn't work in order for you to meet certain people and to talk to them and this and that. There's such siyata dishmaya that even the 4 elements will do things to promote Yiddishkeit, to promote speaking about Hashem, about Torah. What do we speak about the whole time? We're speaking about Hashem, Torah, he's speaking about Chabad and this and that, whatever, okay? So that's an example that the 4 elements should wake up. Fire, wind, water, earth. If you count the items here, there's about 40 items he's going to go into. Okay? From Erez Asher Balevanon, that's an expression of the big cedar trees. That's like a big item. You ever seen a cedar tree? It's humongous. Humongous. They're a cedar tree. They have them in California also. They're humongous. It's like the thickness of the tree could be like twice the size of this room. It's like the circumference, the parameter, what's the word in English? forgot how you say it, the circumference of the tree is so thick, you can like build a house inside it. That's how thick they are. Giant cedar trees of Lebanon. Huh? The circumference, I think, the diameter. Diameter is half. Circumference is the whole outside of the circle. Yeah. You see how good English is. Math, huh? Okay. So min Erez Asher Lebanon. Okay. Ada Ezov Asher Bakir. Ezov is like the hyssop that grows on the wall, which is like tiny. Like a little type of weed that starts growing on the wall. That's called the Ezov on the kir. It's an expression from the biggest to the smallest. Mishilshul katan shebayam, from the tiniest worm in the sea, ad karnei re'emim, the big horns of the ram. That's another expression from the smallest to biggest. And this time, like in the relationship to another sect of the animal, the kingdom. Okay, and it goes on, Rav Nosson. Malch Eretz. Again, he's quoting from Tehillim, right? Malch Eretz v'chol leumim sarim v'chol shoftei aretz. The kings of the land and all the nations, the ministers and all the judges of the world. They should all wake up. You hear this? They should all wake up. Unbelievable. Gdolim uktanim. I had a funny story recently that I got caught for not wearing a mask on the way to Kever Rachel. Okay, we're going to Davin. Kever Rachel, we're going to Davin, and the police are purposely positioned at the entrance of Kever Rachel because they know they can get people who are not wearing the mask, who don't know the law, and they're not wearing the mask in the cars. We're in a private car. If you're in a private car and it's not a family member, according to the law back then, 2020, 21, you have to wear a mask because of the corona. Okay. So I didn't have my mask because I have difficulty breathing. I wanted them to open the window. There were little children in the back, a baby, a newborn baby, so I couldn't open the window. It was Hanukkah time, so it was a bit cold, but I needed air. So I couldn't breathe with the mask on and there's no window open. If the window was open, I would have left the mask on, okay? I didn't. So the police stopped us. I got a ticket. He got a ticket, okay? And I said, I'm going to fight this. This is not fair. What did I do so wrong? Okay? I can't breathe. The window's open. The window's not open. It's closed. I can't breathe. So I went to fight it. And it was Adar. They picked the date. The date they picked was Rosh Chodesh Adar. The first day of Adar, halacha says it's the best time to go for a court case. So I get to the court case, okay? And I'm davening Hashem, whatever you want. I'm not going to daven, please Hashem, let it work. He said, whatever you want, Hashem. I'm a weak person, whatever you want, Hashem. I'm not going to fight and kill myself, whatever you want. I see the name of the judge. He has an American name. You know, his Honorable Paul Sharp. So this sounds like a real American name. I might know him even. So we get into the court case. It's an American judge here in Israel, American judge. Okay? So he asked me to speak. And I'm speaking with my Canadian accent, you know, Shalom, Manishma, whatever, for the shofet. You can hear in my accent that I have a North American accent. And he's like, I just started explaining what happened. And I brought medical papers, whatever. So he tells me, stop. Okay, he continues talking to he said, I heard it, you don't have to continue, it's okay. So afterwards, you know, he starts talking to me in English, the judge. So where are you from? The judge, in the middle of the court case. So where are you from? He said, I'm from, Toronto, Kvod HaShofet. And where are you from, Kvod HaShofet? He says, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, or Brooklyn. And he was schmoozing in the middle of the court case. And then it came to, and I got an exemption. Everything went great and everything. I'm just saying, you know, Malchei Eretz v'chol omim sarim v'chol shoftei aretz. The judges are okay with you. You know, I'm not a criminal. I'm doing something bad. I couldn't breathe. I had to take off the mask. I couldn't breathe. The window, they had opened the window. What do you want from me? Okay. And I had a medical page. I had a page that I'm saying that I can't breathe if I'm just in a closed area with a mask. I need air, whatever. Okay. And they accepted in the end. They didn't want to accept it, and they give other people a hard time. Here I had miracles. I'm just saying. Adults, you know, big people and small people. Banim ubanot, sons, daughters, zikenim, unaarim, the elder and the young. Rav Nosson is going on. 40 examples he goes into. Haaretz v'chol asher alea, the earth and everything upon it. Hayamim v'chol asher b'hem, and the seas and everything in them. Hashamayim, the heavens. Ushmei hashamayim, the upper heavens. V'chol tzeva'am, all the hosts of the celestial bands in heaven. And then he goes on further, Rav Nosson. You see, Rav Nosson wants you to understand the mitzvah is far-reaching. Your little tiny mitzvah, you little Joe Schmo that you think your mitzvah has nothing, you need to think, who says my tefillin are even kosher? My little tefillin and everything. Yes, your tefillin If it meets the minimum required of halacha, it does the job. Right? You have a kosher mezuzah, it does the job. You have kosher tzitzit, it does the job. You have kosher beot, you have a kosher circumcision, you have everything done minimal, it does the job, it goes through. What does it mean to go through? It gets everything to wake up. Everyone, everything. Rav Nosson wants you to understand that. So he's going on. Olam ha'asiya, va'yetzira, va'briya, va'atzilut, v'chol asher bahem. The four dimensions, the four worlds. The world of asiya, of action. The world of formation, yetzira. The world of creation, briya, right? And va'atzilut is a hard term. It's near the beginning of la'atzil. That's a hard term to translate. What's the translation of la'atzilut? Le'atzil means the shining, to give over. There's a better translation for that. Everything in these four dimensions, these four worlds. And he goes on, watch. Shpalim, Galgalim, Malachim, Zikim, Chashmalim, Srafim, Gofanim, V'chayat HaKodesh. I need to hear the BRI translation, because these are hard words, okay? Shpalim, which is the lowliest creatures, fine. Galgalim, the celestial spheres. Zikim, what's Zikim? It's a type of, where? Not yet. No, yeah, okay. Now it's got Malachim, sorry. Malachim is angels. Zikim are spirits. Okay? Chashmalim, sorry, Zikim are spirit forces. Chashmalim, Chashmal, that's a type of force called the Chashmal. We can't even translate it. We're not allowed to translate it, I think. Chashmal is a type of angel force. Srafim are a type of angels that burn up. Ofanim, they're like wheels. That's the translation, but it's not literally wheels. And Chayot HaKodesh, the Holy Chayot. These are all types of angels and levels of spiritual existences. Okay? Wake up with your mitzvah. Okay, and he goes on, Rav Nosson. Min tachlit nekudat hamerkaz shel olam asiyah. Yeah.
Aren't they already the holiest of the holy? So how can we arrive at them?
Because we have something that they don't have and they need. We have our ratzon. They didn't have a ratzon that we have. They don't have a desire that we have. That ratzon, which goes into our mitzvah, it pushes them. They are incomplete. You hear this? The Asrafim and Malachim and Chayot and Akodesh and Ofanim and Zikim and Olam Hatzilut, they are incomplete without your mitzvah. Done b'simcha. Don't forget that. The mitzvah, we didn't mention it all. He didn't mention it either. He didn't mention even once doing the mitzvah b'simcha. He said the mitzvah b'kedusha v'tahara. You notice that? He just, even the mitzvah that's done without, what's the point? When you realize what your mitzvah is doing, that itself should bring you the simcha. You hear that? The simcha comes to you when you realize what the mitzvah is doing. What's the mitzvah doing? And the mitzvah is waiting for me to be the simcha. Yes, but what does it do? All these things. That doesn't make you happy. The goal of that is to make you happy. When you realize what the mitzvah is doing, it gets you moving, man. Okay? So let's finish off here. Min tachlit nekudat hamerkaz shel olam asiyah. From the tachlit nekudat, from the maximum capacity of the inner point of the center of this corporeal world of action, this dimension of action, this world of action, until the highest point of the highest of the four worlds, ad reshit nekudat habriya, shutchilat atzilut, until the beginning point of the creation, which is the beginning of the upper world of the four worlds called Atzilut. Okay? So now add here a comma. After saying all these 40 levels, these 40 categories, Bechulam telech ha-mitzvah shanu zochein asod bechol eg. You saw how Rav Nosson opened up the Likutey Moran. You see it, okay? You didn't see this in the Likutey Moran. Rav Nosson opened it up. In all of these worlds, should my mitzvah go? The mitzvah that we do at all times, all the mitzvah that you do. Don't say only specific mitzvah do this. B'chol et, Rav Nosson says, all the mitzvah, all the time they have this capacity to do this. Uteorer v'takitz kulam la'avodatecha be'emet. And our mitzvot should wake up. The takitz is like a stronger arousal term. It should arouse and wake up all of these worlds, all of these categories, to truly serve you, to connect to you, Hashem. V'yashuvu chol ha'olamot v'chol asher bahem elecha be'emet, and let all the worlds come back to you, Hashem, to reconnect to you, and everything in them also, in honesty and sincerity, they should come back to you. All this by doing a mitzvah. You hear this? This is what a mitzvah, translation of mitzvah is. What does a mitzvah mean? To connect. Let's have it. Not tzivu. It's not just a commandment. Mitzvah is a commandment, but it's connecting what? This world and everything in these worlds, like we just mentioned all these categories, connecting them to who? To Hashem, to the Shekhinah. Okay? We're connecting them back. Okay? And he says in just one sentence what we worked on for the past few weeks. He goes into bracha and it's one statement. And through this, through getting everybody aroused to Hashem, there should be aroused blessing in all the worlds in their entirety. This is the secret to getting bracha. When the creation wakes up because of your mitzvot, this brings the bracha. This brings the bracha. This is an example of Nosson opens up for the Likutey Tefilot. It gives you a feeling, gives you now the belief and the want to do the mitzvah with such a joy and a yearning, because you know what you're doing. I'm not just doing the mitzvah for me now. I'm doing the mitzvah to connect everybody else to Hashem. I'm part of it. I'm the kli. The Jew is like the interface between this world and Hashem. Isn't that amazing? That's why mitzvah is so unique. The Jewish people are not part of this world. Okay? At the same time, right now, we're not part of the world to come. We're in between. When we do mitzvot of this world, tefillin, tzitzit, Yom Kippur, lulav, tzedakah, brachot on food, birkat Torah, Torah study, everything. So we're taking this world, connecting it to Hashem. We are the means for the mitzvah to take place. When you see that, your perspective on the mitzvah, it changes. You're not doing mitzvah for you. The person, I don't feel like it. Who asked you? Who asked you? We need you to do the mitzvah from Israel. There used to be a song by Miami Boys Choir. Remember Miami Boys? Miami? We need you. We need your tefillah each and every year. You remember that song? We need you. Stop talking davening. We need your davening. Say Baruch Shemo. I mean, don't say it for you, right? They had a joke, unfortunately, here. I saw when they came to Israel. How do you know that a Baal Tshuva passed the line between being a Baal Tshuva now to a Baal Bait, Baal Bus? What's the sign? That he starts talking in the Chazarat HaShatz. That's the sign that he passed. Right? Because the Baal Tshuva normally begins, he's on fire, everything is Yad Shemayim. And Baal Bus, he's during Baruch Shemo, and he's like talking, looking at the people, everything. So when does he pass the line? When he starts talking also, right? The thing is, we need the davening. Who are you davening for? It's not for you. We don't need, it's not for you. It's for the world. The world needs you. I said, the world needs you. So please shut up and do what you have to do. Right? That's the idea, that the mitzvah is for the world. That's what it does. So when I'm a representation, right? What's the wording? We are a light upon the nations and to the nations. And when Nosson shows you here, it's not just to the nations, it's to the whole world. To the doggies, the lions, the cows, the bees, the mountains, the rivers. We are the key here. We are the key. Your son, we should believe in the power of the mitzvah. Rav Nosson really opens your eyes here. He gives you feeling. He gives you energy to get up in the morning and not say, I missed my minyan, so I might as well just sleep for another 4 hours, because anyways, what difference is it if I daven at 6 or I daven at 10? You know, no. Get up earlier, do the davening properly, because the world needs your davening. The world needs your davening. Yes, the world needs your tefillin. The world needs your mitzvot. For them to wake up. That's what it does. Okay? And you be happy. So what's your job then? If not the mitzvah for the world, what's your job? Your job is doing the mitzvah of the same time. I have the zchut of being the one to do the mitzvah for the world, to get everyone back to connect to Hashem. I have the zchut of being the messenger here. This is what I have to be happy about. I'm zoch the mitzvah. Hashem gave me the honor to carry the torch. You know the torch in the Olympics, the guy who carries the torch and he puts it on the big thing, whatever. I have the merit of being the one to carry the torch, to light the torch. That's the thing. Yes.
So you're saying that simcha is a way to do the mitzvah, so our bracha can be activated. But how do we do mitzvah with simcha compared to how we do mitzvah usually?
So here he showed us how A leads to B and B leads to A. When you realize that the mitzvah you're doing is going to get everyone picked up, that already should bring you simcha. As opposed to saying, what value is my mitzvah? I don't have to do mitzvah anyways, because anyways it doesn't make a difference. No, your mitzvah is going to move the world whether you like it or not. So be happy. If you're happy, so now the mitzvah lifts up much more The mitzvah done wakes up everybody. And now there's other things the mitzvah does when b'simcha. It lifts up kedusha, holiness, which is trapped in the klipot. You didn't mention about that. To get them to be released and to go up to their proper place. That's what the simcha does. Because what the simcha does and what the mitzvah does. The simcha is what is the key for sure. Once you have simcha, then the mitzvah can move upwards. In other words, you can release anything trapped. It works the opposite. If I'm not happy, so here he's showing you what your mitzvah is doing. You should be happy when you know what it does. Even a low life like me, even a nobody like me, I just press the button, all these things happen. Yes, Mr. You, nobody, you press the button, all these things happen. He said, wow, that should be, that's the simcha that I have, that I'm putting on the crown of the king. For example, tefillin. The tefillin are called the crown of Hashem, and it's doing all these amazing tikkunim that tefillin do. And in this case, waking up everybody. Wow, even my tefillin? Yes, even your tefillin. Okay, this is the idea. That itself should bring you joy. Again, Rav Nosson did it once in this paragraph, mentioned the word simcha. Not once did he mention doing the mitzvah b'simcha. He didn't mention it. This is what the mitzvah does in itself. Okay? Why? This itself is what should bring you to simcha. This is going to bring you to simcha when you realize what your mitzvah is doing. It's another advice. Rav Nosson in the Likutey Tefilot, he brings several advices how to be b'simcha and how to do the mitzvah b'simcha. And here's giving another one. He's saying when you see what the mitzvah does, that itself should bring you to simcha. When you see what it's doing, okay? But again, he gave a prerequisite. He says kedusha v'tara. Kedusha v'tara is a hint to the mikveh. He said in Breslov always, the erste is mikveh. The first thing is mikveh. Rabbi Nachman always said, before anything, mikveh. Start the day off with mikveh. I'll just bring this up once. I remember I mentioned it maybe before. This is Breslov Rav Brenner. He once asked two Breslov elders, Rav Levi Yitzhak Bender and Rav Shmuel Shapiro, the same question. He asked them like this: if I see I woke up pretty late in the morning, and I don't have enough time to go to the mikveh and daven nets. If I go to the mikveh, I'll miss nets. If I don't go to the mikveh, I'll make it for nets. So what should I do? So Rav Yitzhak Bender says, what's the question? Get up on time, go to the mikveh and daven nets. Like, no compromise, okay? What is this? Chutzpah. Get up earlier and go to the mikveh and daven nets. That's how Rav Yitzhak was like that. He was tough. He had your shamayim, he was strong. Saying there's no games here. We're soldiers. You have to get up earlier. What is this chutzpah? Shmuel Shapiro is more connected to people how they are. He says, okay, so you woke up late. So you can't daven nets. Why skip on the mikveh? The whole purpose of mikveh is that you should. He said the purpose of the mikveh is that you should put on the tefillin after the mikveh. The whole idea of the mikveh is before davening. You just slept. You tasted 1/60th of it. Okay, you washed your hands in the morning. It removed partially the tumah. Okay, mikveh does much more. Mikveh does much more. He said, so daven it later. There's only nets in halacha. There's only nets. So you miss nets. So you're doomed. There's other mitzvot. There's a 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8. Depends where you daven. You have other shtiblech, whatever. But mikveh should be before davening. Yeah, 10, 12, Amshinov, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, I don't know. Yeah, mikveh is the preparation. It's an example that mikveh should always be first.
Someone have to die. If the prophet says you have to die, you can go to them. So should you go afterwards?
I don't know. That's the question. Talk about where you can do both. Where you can do both. All right. Yesher koach, everybody. And Bezat Hashem, next class we'll be continuing in the Likutey more on the next section. Bezat Hashem.